The Elder Scrolls Online, the game that we all love to hate, and for a good reason. ESO has been going downhill basically for like 7 years at this point, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. So I'm gonna just kind of go through them one by one. And the first reason is our developers. Uh, let's just give a shout out to Brian Wheeler and Gina Bruno, two great developers at running the game down into the trash can. Uh, First of all, to Brian Wheeler, if you're listening or you're watching, maybe you're not, maybe you are, somebody says this to him. First of all, don't hurt me. Second of all, uh, how can you be a head of PvP developing when you don't PvP? Like I honestly, Brian Wheeler, I don't even think you play the game. To be honest, I like honestly don't think you play the Elder Scrolls Online. We all saw Brian Wheeler's performance in his 8v8 BG showcase. This guy was a tank with jabs on. He did no damage. He didn't know how to block. He didn't know how to roll dodge. He didn't know how to heavy attack to get his resources back. And he was on a one bar build. So there's a lot of questions that got raised there. Because as the head of PvP, why don't you have any experience in PvP or really the basics of the actual game itself, like heavy attack to gain your resources back? Bad updates. A lot and a lot of bad updates that have came along for quite some time now. First of all, there was hybridization, which, first of all, a lot of the community absolutely hated. The developers did not listen to that, and they still went through with it. That probably hurt the player base. Then there was update 35, which I wasn't around for, but from what I've heard from the community, that is the worst update of any game they have ever played. So, what happened there, I'm not really sure, but when the community told you it was bad and it was a terrible idea, you probably should have listened. Which, by the way, y'all did a good job. When you changed Hurricane, everybody cried about it and you changed it back. What you did not do a good job with is double shotgun spec bow, double barrel shotgun spec bow. Okay, whose idea was that? That didn't help PVE, and all it did was make PvP worse. Then you had updates like giving Incap 20% damage done for God knows what reason, because PvE it was underperforming in PvE. By the way, you know you can make that a PvE only buff. You know you have Battle Spirit as a thing. You should try using it. Yes, I know it's crazy, but you should try it. It's an amazing thing. Y'all should use that more. So, in the end, ESO developers, y'all need to listen to the community more often. Y'all are in your own little world doing who knows what. I guess that is what it is. Another part is we have updates, what, every 3 to 4 months, and we get two dungeons and a garbage trial that is so easy because everything has been power crept. So basically, let's touch on that real quick. Is what y'all need to do instead of giving us two garbage dungeons that are alright and a trial which is lackluster and a tiny little zone that nobody actually cares for, like the last zone you just came out. What is it? Solstice? That zone is garbage. I hate to say it, but that zone is garbage, man. And it's tiny and it's like, it is what it is. And let's see here. So what I think y'all should do is y'all should do an update like once a year. See, because the issue is when y'all come out with these updates every 3 to 4 months with two dungeons and a trial and a little zone, people finish all the content there is in that in 2 weeks, and now those people are gone for that entire time until the next update. What y'all should do is y'all should come out with one huge Giga Chad mega update with a bunch of content. I'm talking 10 trials, 25 dungeons, an actual Cyrodiil update for once, which, by the way, it's been how many years? We're still waiting and we still never got a Cyrodiil update. Maybe an IC update. Maybe connect IC and Cyrodiil. Maybe that can be a good idea. I don't know. Try something. Even if it's a test. And then if the test goes well, implement it into the full version of the game. Kind of like y'all been doing vengeance test, which nobody likes really, but it's still a thing. And then BGs. Oh god, y'all ruined BGs, and I don't know why y'all ruined BGs. BGs used to be a great and beautiful thing. 4v4v4, where you could be in low MMR and it was fun, or you could be in high sweaty lobbies and it was still fun because it wasn't like 8v8s where there's a giant ball group who's running over the other team that isn't in a ball group. Even when you queue for solo, one team ends up as a ball group and the other team ends up as a bunch of scattered little chickens that get ran over. And then there's Endgame. The Endgame content in this game is garbage, to be honest. It's pretty garbage. Uh, we have these trials, vet trials, which, by the way, they used to be hard. VMAW used to be really hard. Used to be an absolute super mega giga chat if you had the VMAW skin or you had the VHOF skin. It was super hard to get Gold Moon Dancer jewelry and you were rolling in the dough. Now I have the VMAW skin and VHOF skin, and I am garbage at PvE. I don't even have a PvE build. And Ryder put together a group of a bunch of PvPers mixed with half PvEers, and we all just kind of got carried by the PvEers. They basically ran through those vet trials with 6 people. And half, like VMAL's final boss, we got to skip like all the mechanics because our DPS was so high, because these trials and dungeons have been power crept by subclassing and all the new sets y'all come out with, and there's no adjustment to the difficulty of the game. So what I propose, you should start making new content, but you should make harder new content. Vet trials, they're whatever. They're really not that hard. You put on your overpowered beam build and you beam everything and you skip the mechanics and whoop-de-doo, congratulations. You now completed what's supposed to be super endgame and super hard, but now the real endgame is housing and it's not PvP like it was supposed to be. But, what do I know? I don't have a multi-billion-dollar game company. But anyways, y'all need to start coming out with like super hard. I'm talking like incredibly hard dungeons and incredibly hard trials specifically for those group of end game players that you have to maybe. I don't know what y'all need to do, but y'all need to come up with something that's super hard. You need to run these certain setups, and you need, maybe the mechanics change every time you do this trial. You need something like that. Something that's actually very hard and very difficult, but also something that's beatable. Something that you're able to actually win. Don't make it literally impossible. Do y'all remember when the white gold tower was too hard and they ended up nerfing the dungeon? They should have never did that. We need stuff that hard that, yes, people can beat, but it is incredibly difficult to beat. There needs to be something to work to after you reach a certain point in the game. An MMORPG is a grinding game. You have to grind, and it's a lot of work, and most of the time it's the only game you're usually playing. A lot of these people are casual older people in their 30s, 40s plus, and they come home from work and they sit down and they hop on ESO for 2 hours a day. 'Cause the game is fun, right? It's fun. It's just it's not being, I don't know how to say it, min maxed, right? It's not being used to its full potential. It could be so much better, but it's not. Then there is the rewards for the hard content and the things that are hard to do and get. There's EMP. EMP really isn't that hard to get anymore. I mean, it's really just about who plays the game more, but we've had the Emperor title and then the simple regular Emperor's Regalia outfit, which is not even cool looking. It's kind of ugly, but that has been there for God knows how long, and we have never got anything else. I mean, if you're not going to give us a new reward for, Cyrodiil for being Emp, at least give us, maybe some other mythic weapons like Volendrug, or maybe some giant, or maybe a chaos. What would be sick, guys? Listen, hear me out. A Chaos Ball mythic weapon that somebody gets, and it just pulses a buku amount of damage, right? That would be pretty sick. Anyways, back on topic here. The rewards for vet trials and vet dungeons, when the game came out and updates were coming out, things like Vordenfell came out with Morrowind update. Huge zone, a really nice looking trial, and a really cool skin for beating that trial on vet. And then you had hard dungeons, which gave you, some really cool personalities, or they gave you a really cool skin, or maybe so we need better rewards for this hard endgame content. We want skins, we want mounts, we want personalities. We do not want a freaking title. Okay? The only title I want is if you come out with a title called the Milkman. If I can be the Milkman, then maybe we can start talking about adding titles into the game. Until then, I don't want these Inkslayer titles. That is so boring. Come on. Who came up with that? Inkslayer, man? The Milkman is so much better. Think about it. Just think about it for a second. The Milkman title? Man, I'd use that one. Anyways, then we got the meta. The meta is incredibly stale, incredibly boring. PvE, everybody uses the same thing. It's so overpowered. There's no diversity in PvE anymore, right? Everybody has a beam build, right? You have arc beam, you have Templar beam, and you have like two dots because 99% of the time you're spamming beam because beam is so overtuned in PvE, it does so much damage, right? Assassination gives so much crit that people are running assassination skills. They're not using any of them, but they only have them on their bar because it gives an insane amount of crit chance, which is like super important in PvE. Then there's PvP, right? PvP with first of all, let me touch up on this. We have how many sets in the game? Thousands of sets in the game, and in PvP and PvE, there's like a total of 10 sets that you can use. It's embarrassing. These sets need to start getting reworked. They need some buffs. Something needs to change with a lot of these old sets. Maybe come out with 4-piece sets as well. Why do we only have 5-piece sets? What happened to the 3-piece sets? The 3-piece sets were pretty cool. Maybe come out with some more arenas, right? Give us some more arena weapons. Something, right? This is what I'm saying, man. We need something. You have to work with the community. You have to make the game better. Give us more content. Give us better content. And listen to the community and get rid of this stale, boring meta. Everybody in PvE has on Shulks or they have on Spec Bow, right? There's like Dragonite is like completely. I believe me, I hate Dragonite, and everybody who watches me and knows me knows I absolutely hate Dragonite. But that class is like literally garbage now. in subclassing. Ardent Flame is so much weaker than every other damage skill line. The DK armor buff line, I don't remember what it's called. Draconic Power or whatever, right? Leap is fun, but the rest of the skill line is trash. Coag feels absolutely terrible. Everybody just runs the Scribe Hill because you get Major Vitality and it's broken, right? The DK armor buff is alright, but why run that when I can run Hurricane and get way more damage or go into Super Tank with uh, Restoring Light and have Purify and the Templar rune buff, which gives me basically unlimited sustain and makes me insanely tanky because it heals and it gives me minor mending. And then for some reason you'll add an auto block to that line passive, but that's for a different story. Surprise Attack and Blood for Blood are overtuned, best spammables in the game, and Dizzy Swing is kind of null. It's kind of garbage, right? There's no point in running Dizzy Swing when Blood for Blood and Surprise Attack is 10 times better. Same thing with Jabs. Jabs came out, it was actually usable without an execute, right? Y'all changed the animation, everybody hated it, and y'all still went through with it. Why that happened, I don't know. Unfortunately, I never got to use those jabs. I heard great things about them, but they don't exist anymore. But they need a buff. Y'all buff jabs, they're still weak. Surprise attack is still overpowered. Did y'all nerf that? Absolutely not. So, all those things, and now let's get into some more Cyrodiil issues like hot stacking. Hot stacking is such a major issue in this game. First of all, hot stacking lags the game. It lags the game a lot. When there is a group of 12 people with 12 echoing vigors on each other and 12 rapid regenerations on each other, right? The game, for some reason, lags like crazy. Then it comes and it makes these ball groups basically nearly unkillable because they're getting right they're getting like 40k heals per second because they have all these hots from all their teammates that are all stacked, they're all the same ability just on each other, and then they have like 40-50k HP. So they get their entire HP back every second. And the only way to kill them is to have like the entire server and 12 negates to stop these guys. But then Brian Willer probably plays in a ball group, so he likes that. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason ball groups are still a thing. Hot stacking needs to go. Cross healing needs to be nerfed. Cross healing is fine. If you want to be a healer, okay. Maybe y'all should make a set, right? Nerf cross healing by 50%. If somebody wants to be an actual healer, add a set in the game that buffs cross healing by 50%. So in PvP, you can be a pure healer still, right? Or something like that, right? Make other sets viable with it. Make that set, and it can be good, but, you know, just a suggestion, something like that. And then let's go to the toxic community. The community in this game is pretty bad sometimes. A lot of people are very unwelcoming to new players. Nobody wants to help new players get better, and new players kind of get screwed over. Now the devs, they keep trying to make this game to appeal to those new players. Oh, look at this. The skill floor is insanely high and the skill ceiling is super low, but you still need, like in PvP, sets can only take you so far, and nobody wants to teach these new players how to do anything. Guys, the game, it doesn't matter if you 1vx, you duel or whatever. If people quit the game, you're not going to have anybody to fight. I don't care if you think you're the best player ever and you 1v20 all these noobs. If somebody asks for help, why can't y'all take 10 seconds out your day to help somebody get a little bit better? I don't know. Maybe it's an ego thing. I don't have that issue. If somebody asks me for help, I'll help them. PvE, y'all lock these sweaty trial guilds to certain all these certain requirements, and then nobody wants to help anybody reach these certain requirements. You gotta help somebody. Y'all gotta put into the community. Y'all just want to have like the sweatiest group possible and try to beat this super easy power crap trial in 5 minutes instead of 15 minutes, and then it's just y'all 12 for the rest of the time of ESO because nobody wanted to help any new players get better. So, that's all I really have to say about ESO. Those are the issues with ESO. That's why ESO is going downhill, and that is also some of my suggestions to fix the game. Performance, you need to fix. Performance is god awful. PvE, PvP, absolutely terrible. My god, please fix it. I don't know what you have to do. Please do not strip me of everything, though, because I do not want to play Vengeance. God, please, no, stop, don't do it. Okay? Thank you.